Hello and welcome to Nollywood Film Club. I'm Mr. C Critic. I hope you're doing well. All right, I have a bit of a housekeeping to do, and if you want to skip it, it's a little long. I'm not gonna lie, it's a little long. So if you do want to skip it, use the timestamps. But if not, here we go. The movie we're going to discuss today, some people, including myself and Mrs. C, some people in NFC were given a sent like a promotional package. I imagine that was great, good marketing to help promote their messages. You can check our Twitter page for the exact details of all of the things that I posted. I posted everything inside. And the gifts were both hilarious, and they also came with a note, which is also posted on our Twitter page. I can't read it right now. I don't have it now, and I don't want to go and look for it, please. But I can give you the general gist of the note. The general gist of the note was, thank you, such and such. Please accept these things. We appreciate what you guys do, and don't take it easy on us on Sunday. Which, of course, I mean, we did not. Now, I think we make a few jokes about packages on there, which of course we would, to make you aware that there's some people who have received packages. So you can price that into however you decide to receive any of the messages from any of the speakers. And that's why I'm also saying it here as well, just to remind you. But I do it many times on the space, so you shouldn't really miss it. So it's to remind you of, again, that some people were sent gift packages. I don't know if you think gift packages would particularly change how we talk about things, but if you do, well, that's up to you as well, and it's your prerogative. I will tell you though that the thing that was going to affect anything the most was just actually knowing TNT, the production company who came up with this. I've been watching this stuff for a while now. I was a fan of Little Black Book season 1, and not a fan of Little Black Book season 2, as I told them very much clearly on their space. But I would say that there's an affable relationship between TNT and ourselves, especially the creator, who used to come on the NFC space whilst he was on Twitter. That's the general gist. If anything was going to affect, sort of, it would be that relationship, not a bunch of popcorn, sweet biscuits and stuff like that. And that's fine. Like, the way I would present something to my friend is not the same thing I would present something to a stranger. But if you want to talk about the content, please beware. I mean, like, I'm I feel more obligation to give people who are my friends the truth, what's closer to the truth. The packaging might sort of change because I'm human, and that's, everybody has their own things. But I would never, ever, and I'm happy vouching for the NFC members, also sort of change the content or the substance of the feedback due to a relationship. I think some of the people who have come to value NFC have valued us because we are honest, and we always tell it as it is. So it would be such a strange thing for the people who we have made friends along the way to change sort of for that. People tend to like us because of the things we do, because of how we say it. That's how I've made any friend that I've made in the industry. And by the way, there are many films that I've spoken about that I do have even off personal relationship, that I've met some of the directors and they seem like just the nicest people or loveliest people. And we have still said what we have said about their films, because at the end of the day, NFC is for NFC people, and that's just the general gist. I know some of you don't need this, because I know most of you don't need this sort of disclaimer, and I know that this disclaimer might actually add, as some people might think, oh, being very defensive all of a sudden. I know, because we can't help. Some people are going to be the way they are, but for the people who probably are either new or are not familiar with our style, just leaving this in here for you to consider. All right, okay. That's it out of the way. We did, I think, have a fruitful conversation. I enjoyed it very much. And I do hope you enjoy Nollywood Film Club discussing Ololade.
Delirious with a cold.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. But everybody else, welcome to Nollywood Film Club. Oh, God. It's going to be a long one. All right, welcome to Nollywood Film Club. We discuss Nollywood movies or TV shows every Sunday, 6 p.m. What? Sometimes we have conversations too, but not today. Today we're discussing I believe this is a Netflix original, a new Netflix original TV series in Ololade. First off, can somebody tell me what Ololade?
Yeah, does anyone translate for us?
Before we move on, because I thought this was gonna be the name of our protagonist in this, but apparently it's not.
You're just showing your lack of understanding of Nigerian languages. Oh.
Yeah, I was curious about that myself. Actually, I thought that it would have something to do with it thematically. I looked at the list of characters to see if anybody was named that. I mean, I don't know. Is Laide somehow related to Ololade? The actress who plays Laide is actually named Ololade something. So I have no idea.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks for joining us in the confusion. How can someone explain? Van.
All right. Okay. All right. If nobody knows,
Ololade should mean that the owner of the wealth has come.
Right. Okay.
Oh, that's a nice name.
Okay. Yeah. As long as I can see negative connotations. No, that's always the answer. All right. Okay. Let's just start. I think.
What? Oh my gosh! I don't. This is messing up. This one is messing up.
Just as a fair, I don't know if anyone is or remembers. See, if you think regular Mr. C is grumpy, sick.
All right. I'm trying to start this thing. Let's start. Nollywood must change, please.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Yinka.
Okay, sorry. This thing was not showing very well what I was off or not. Sorry.
Okay. That's
all right. This is my third attempt to start this space. This is the house of commotion right here. Okay. All right. We're going to be discussing what we liked and the good, to discuss what we didn't like and the bad. If we have pushback, we'll do our pushbacks, and then we'll do a summary for us. All right. Let's start with the things we liked. Nollywood must change. Please tell us some of the things you liked about Ololade.
Hi, Vanessa. I took your spot today. Wow. Anyways, you people are murdering Yoruba. The owner of the wealth has come. Seriously? Okay.
Why didn't you translate it?
Translate it as you are starting.
A wealthy person has come. Not like the owner of the wealth. Like a wealthy person, a rich man has come. That's the meaning.
John, the person that has the wealth, is it not the
wealthy person?
That's like the person that
Are
has
we
the word.
about to find out about semantics of Yoruba? Because let's understand. More Yoruba
Just
by you.
my time just starts now.
True Yoruba.
So what do I
More
like
then.
about Ololade?
All right. Just say you're good, I beg.
Okay, what do I like about Ololade? Ololade was just the because they were performing in their local language, and you know it would be easier for them to perform. I don't think most of them, not many of them, were struggling. The performance was a bit okay. I mean, just was just okay, not a bit. It was averagely okay. I like Frank Dong. I don't know how to. Is it Donga? Maybe I don't know. Maybe that is the correct pronunciation. So I kind of like his performance. It was not over the top. Maybe it's because it's coming from the English side of the was not over the top. I didn't know that they could speak Yoruba, and I kind of like Media Martins in these. When she asked to be like melodramatic, she didn't do it like she would do in most Nollywood movies. She was not shouting, yelling. It was kind of okay. She could control. I think the director could control her performance. What else do I like? Um, I kind of like the scenes with Femi and Frank Donga because they didn't outshine. One did not outshine each other. Femi is a good actor. I wasn't expecting less from him. He does what he does, and I think it's just the performance I like about this. Just the performances here and there I like about this series. I think that's the only thing I like about it. Nothing else.
Okay. Uchenna, do you want to tell us what you liked about?
Okay, yeah. I came to this. I want to say I came to it with no expectations, but which is not completely true because I mistook it for something else. I thought it was going to be. I think there's this legal series that's coming out soon. For some reason, I thought that this was that, so I came in expecting that. So my expectations were subverted, but I found this not unenjoyable. You know what I mean? It was cool. It's I think the way that it presents certain things, certain genre conventions, so certain genre elements without the conventions associated with them. I don't know if that's very clear. What I'm trying to say, for example, is that lately I've had a lot of discussions with people who keep on saying that Nollywood should not do genre work, basically, and should not do high concepts. That Nollywood should just stick to doing simple family dramas of the sort that maybe Biodun Stephen would do. And of course, I disagree with that. But I do understand where that critique comes from because there's something that feels imitative in the way that Nollywood handles, crime stories or action stories and things like that. But I think that in this case, you had some of those tropes from a crime story, but they didn't copy the rhythms of a foreign movie. So it felt indigenous in that way. And the way that some of these tropes were presented was not with a ton of melodrama on them either, which made them feel a bit more, for lack of a better word, natural. So I found that pretty interesting. Then also, I'm always complaining about people who talk about picture quality when they say they're talking about cinematography because they're not the same thing. But in this case, I'm going to commend the picture quality, at least in the first two episodes anyway. I won't say that the cinematography was good, but in terms of the actual texture of the image, there was a soft kind of cinematic look to them. I mean, not it didn't look cinematic in terms of the focal length or the positioning of bodies on the screen or the lighting, but there was a sort of a texturally I felt that was kind of cool in the first two episodes. It kind of fell off after that. But yeah, this was not a bad thing to watch. It was cool.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Jenna. I was actually expecting you to say this one wasn't made for me, but
I was absolutely going to say that, but it's become such a cliche, and I didn't want to. It's so wishy washy, but it is true. That is exactly what I did want to say. This was not made for me. I understand who it was made for, and that's cool.
All right. Okay. Thanks. I think it's to me next.
So like while I was watching this, I had this feeling that the only thing that was missing immediately when I was like 30 minutes or so into the first episode was the fact that that Africa Magic logo that used to sit at the top right or is it top left of your TV screen was missing in this. Because this felt so much like an African Magic Yoruba film that everybody would just gather around in the living room one Saturday, Sunday while they're making papa moi moi. We watch this on the TV, and as soon as we're done watching it, we switch it to football. That was literally the vibe that this film was giving me, and it just felt very nostalgic, and it was a pleasant feeling. Um, Liz da Silva, I have no idea where she disappeared to. So seeing her on screen was a very, very pleasant surprise. Um, Same with Messi Aigbe. I think she has been doing some works recently, but I haven't seen her out. I don't think I remember seeing her in anything recently. So seeing her was also nice. Same with Midi Martins too. Seeing all of them was quite nice. What else did I like about this? I liked the fact that the characters were consistently written, kinda. Um, at least Lateef, from the first episode, we know that Lateef, Onishekushi, always following woman up and down, this, da, da, da. But at least Lateef is the type of person, at least throughout the whole 6 episodes or whatever, Lateef was always the type of person who would not willingly want to put himself inside trouble. He's always avoiding trouble, yeah, and he stays clear of situations that are beyond his control. So I think that was done well. On the other hand, Shina was I feel like he was given the type of person who doesn't really how do I say this? He's constantly thinking about how his life could be better, but he's not the type of person to actually want to put in effort or work into making his life better in the present moment. And then when they now showed his mom and how controlling his mom is, I was getting the feeling that this Shino guy is giving me mommy's boy vibes. And he's giving me the vibes that his mom has been in control of probably most, if not all, the major decisions in his life. Because the way the mom just makes a decision or is it a proclamation, and he just lays back and accepts whatever happens. So yeah, I liked how they were able to put that in the screenplay and his characterization and yada yada yada. Another thing that I liked was the sound design. I mean, the dialogue and the sound effects quality was far from being tolerable, but at least the sound effects in like some certain scenes made the scenes not feel empty. Like one scene I can I can remember quite well was the scene where Big Mommy and Rissy were in the car, and I remembered hearing the seat belts of the car. And I mean, sure, it's nothing. It's not like a big deal, but like all these like tiny, tiny things in these scenes can, sometimes elevate what you're trying to put out there. Another thing is the fact that the woman who plays Rissy is a very, very beautiful woman. Um, the conversations and the dialogue in this film felt very realistic. Oh my god, it just seemed like as if they brought the women that were around me when I was growing up. They just brought them and slapped them in front of the TV. The way was her name? The way Shina's mom was talking about will bring the girl from the village. I will reap the fruits of my labor. Blah 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 blah. Everything just felt very realistic. The expressions, the gesticulations, every single thing. Oh, another thing is I had no idea that Frank Donga was Yoruba. I googled him and I found out that his real name is Kunle Idowu. So I guess I learned something new today. And the film also feels very much like a money ritual film because I mean you get money from nowhere, you spend it, and now you have to suffer so consequences. So it feels like a money ritual film, even though it's I don't well, even though it's not a money ritual film, it feels like a money ritual film, but it's not a money ritual film. And okay, yeah, the last thing that I would say, or the last two things I would say, so the time when they were doing the housewarming and Mr. Macaroni, the pastor, came into the house, I noticed that he had these really fancy and nice shoes. So I was like, okay, that's cool because I mean, after receiving was it 5 million naira, you have to upgrade your wardrobe. And yeah, oh, the film also had funny, laughable moments, and yeah, that's all.
All right, thanks to me. Vanessa.
Oh, hi everybody. I missed you guys last week. Yeah, let's get into it. I didn't want to be the first today. I wanted everyone to go on a thing. Um, good, Ololade. I feel like everyone has kind of said a different variation of this, but for me, I just thought it was really nice to watch a Nigerian series on Netflix where an indigenous language was used and it wasn't an epic. I you know, South Africa does this quite a lot, and like it's just commonplace. And they have a bunch of all their languages in like modern day settings. We tend to not do that, and like most of the indigenous languages are used in like epics. And it was nice to hear Yoruba in a non-epic situation. It didn't feel out of place. It was we didn't have to be introduced into the fact that Yoruba was the language in this world. It just was, and I enjoyed that. Onto the same vein that everyone has kind of said, the feel of this was very much peak Yoruwood. And it was in some of the small things like um Messi Aigbe's character Shade saying contracts, something about her husband winning a contract. And if you know Yoruba films, a contract is always kind of sort of won. You don't know what the contract is for. Um, and I just enjoyed that throwback to like Yoruba films. Obviously there has to be random juju there because why not if not. And the fact that that babe was going to an owl for fortification, I quite enjoyed the random juju in this as well. It felt very much like a Yoruba film. A busybody neighbor, why not if not. Mama Perpetua, was that her name? Was it Perpetua that was the child's name? Yeah, Perpetua. I quite liked the name Perpetual. It had been a while since I heard a Perpetual in Nollywood. What else was a good? I agree with Nollywood must change. I enjoyed a number of the performances in here. Mide Martins was a standout for me. I don't know what I was expecting. Because I remember like this was last year, maybe a couple of years ago, when TNC announced the cast list for this and that they were going to be doing a Yoruba language series. And I saw the list and I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. I like seeing like people in the Yoruba Nollywood um industry doing something that would basically be considered mainstream Nollywood and even more mainstream now that it's on Netflix, which is exciting. Um and when I saw Medea Martins, I was like, okay, I'm genuinely hoping that she doesn't get typecast as she has been with the Yoruba Nollywood scene as the fast talking, loud talking, super sharp mouth will cut you with her tongue in zero point 0.5 seconds, deliverer of the best insults. Instead, we get a different version of Mide Martins in this, where she's long suffering wife, still opinionated, but without being like over the top and loud. And it was really refreshing to see. I also didn't mind Mercy Aigbe as Big Mommy in this. I won't lie. While a lot of the storyline and the chaos and the framework of this series were very much traditional Yoruba wood, the acting and the performances, I don't know if it was based on directing or whatever magic the TNC guys worked. The performances in this didn't feel as over exaggerated and over the top as traditional Yoruba Nollywood is. And I love the over the topness of traditional Yoruba Nollywood. But for a long time, Yoruba industry had some of the best actors, whether or not they were melodramatic or not. And it was really nice to see them work their acting chops in this from like a more reserved point of view. Even Frank Donga, like we know Frank Donga from the comedies. And while in many ways, Shina was hilarious in just being himself, this was a much more muted performance than I've ever seen from Frank Donga, that I didn't mind. I also quite enjoyed Femi Adebayo in this. Yeah, the performances did this well. It certainly helped the enjoyment of this. Risi, I agreed, to me is a beautiful babe, quite like beautiful women. I was like, take all the money. I need Risi to get that money. I don't know how. I was wanting Risi to walk away with all the money possible. What else? What else? What else? What else? Oh, um, there were a couple scenes that I enjoyed and I wish were expounded upon more. Um, I I enjoyed Femi Adebayo's and Frank Donga's chemistry. I thought they fed off really well with each other, and should have been in more scenes with each other. But yeah, what else is a good? Um, I like the I like the overall length of the series. 6 episodes were enough. Um, and that's where I'll leave it.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. So TNC bag clearly has got you where I see.
Excuse
I was
you.
expecting.
Excuse you. Did you give me? No, I wanted to understand. Did you give me Moet Chandon? Eh? I did give. TNC gave me Moet Chandon. Have you ever given me Moet Chandon? You've never given me Moet Chandon. And are you
Don't
not the one
worry,
that said you're
one day,
open to being bribed? Why can't I be open to being bribed?
100%.
Exactly.
All right, all right. Are you done? I think. See.
As always, you forget about me. Maybe I should start disturbing you like Vanessa so that you can remember me. Wait. What? Yeah, the good. Can anybody hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Just ignore you. I ain't listening to you.
What? I had that.
We're just listening to you is what I said.
Okay, the good. I thought, yeah, the performances are really nice. I did want to say the same thing about Midday Matches. I was a little bit, when I saw her, I was like, oh snap, is she gonna yell all the time? But no, she gave, and I was like, wow, this is wonderful. Midday, I always knew that she could act, and all the performances were pretty nice. I liked it. How it was very local. It is the type of crime drama thing. Well, not completely crime drama, but a type of crime drama that is like that. You see it as very local. It's very steeped into like they're normal people. They're normal Nigerians. The way they even think is like very normal. Very a worldview that we understand. We may not necessarily agree with some of the worldview, but we understand that type of worldview, and we understand that those type of worldview exist, especially for like typical Nigerian thing. I do like as what Uchina said, I did think that the first 2 episodes, and I did notice that I went out, like the way it was shot was really nice. I think the production wise, like there was some questionable way of setting up a scene, most of it, they answered the question. They gave a reasonable excuse of why something is there and why something is not. I thought that was pretty good. So continuity wise, 80%, and 80% is saying something. in Nollywood, even in Nollywood writing, like, so that I liked. That just basic cover up of most of your stuff. I like it's. I've not seen it in a while. So just basic competence. Um I like the storyline. The storyline was very interesting. We had characters. I like the fact that we had, like, sort of complex, and, like so said, it kind of stayed consistent with the type of characters they are. They're not necessarily nice characters. They're not necessarily the paradigm of ideal that we believe in, but they stay within their own ways, and it feels like real people. It feels like people that you see in reality. They're not like cold serial killers. They don't, like, somebody died accidentally. The death that happened was accidentally. They were both very worried. You could see the guilt in both of them. It's not like all of a sudden they decide to cut off the head and decide to cut off the something, or become cold mastermind stuff. And the cold mastermind person. I also like the female villain. It what's her name? Itoto? Irotu? Irotu? I like her. She was scary enough, and I like the way they kind of wrote as to be scary. She's not like shouting. She's not like say, and like I even like how she captures them in like she gives them the money, and then she steals it, and then she takes it, like, oh, you're forever in hell. And it's kind of a psychological way of, like, messing with somebody. That makes it's like she's actually a scary villain. It's like, oh wow, that's really, like, you're really scary. Like, you're really, really scary. Like, you're a psychopath scary. Like, you're coming for my entire life, my entire soul, my entire some type of scary. And I think I have I have just to say, and it's just rare that, like, in a Yoruba indigenous show that is not necessarily like trying to be crime, drama, that is one of the most scary villains I've seen in a while. Because the other ones is kind of like, oh, okay, hmm, yeah, you're scary. I don't want to be next to you, but uh-uh. This one was a little bit more, okay, yeah, we should be careful about you. We should really be careful about you. So yeah, it was entertaining. It was nice. Um, I gladly spent the 6 episode watching. Wasn't bad.
Okay, thanks, Arinka. Mrs. C, tell us the stuff you liked.
So I think, like Vanessa and Nollywood Must Change said, I liked the acting. I enjoy Frank Donga usually, and I did like him in this. I thought it was really funny and he wasn't doing a funny thing. It just cracked me up. Sorry, just earlier on after they'd gotten the money, when he was sitting down and his wife asked him for the 1.1 million. There's the way he sat down and he was doing his head. It was given very much big man. I thought it was so funny how easily he had transitioned from broke school teacher to big man. It's like as soon as his glory was restored, he became the big man he was meant to be. I thought that was funny. I thought what's his name? Femi Adebayo, right? I thought Femi Adebayo was good as Lateef. Risi, oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful babe. In fact, all the women here, beautiful women. I liked the casting for this. There were some moments of pure chaos, which I thought were funny, and yeah, there were some enjoyable moments. What else? Yeah, some of the chaos I enjoyed. I like the premise. I'm typically a fan of this happens and then shenanigans ensue. So I did like some of the shenanigans that ensued.
Okay. Thanks, Mrs. C. Beth. Beth just came on. If she can hear me. Oh, Beth, do you want to tell us some of the things you like?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes. Kind of.
Okay. Thank you. Hi, everyone. I like the new faces. That was because.
Hang on, sorry. Maybe I lied earlier on. You're a little fuzzy. Are you using headphones or anything like that? If you could just
Yes.
disable.
I took them out now.
That's better. Thank you.
Okay. I said I liked the new faces. I don't know. Some of them might not be new to some people, but they were new to me. Like the witch, that babe. She was new to me. I call her a witch because she was just so wicked. I don't know for some reasons, but I mean I like that acting. I'd never seen her anywhere before, so it was refreshing to see new faces. The Dio babe, guy, sorry, and it was just nice to see a lot of new faces in it. Oh, the Risi babe too. I'd never seen her anywhere or any of her works before, so it was really nice, and they were so good with it too. But you see, my favorite dynamic was Mama Perpetua and Femi Adebayo. Oh God. It killed me every time. And I don't know, I just used to go back and rewind and just watch that chaos again because it was just so funny to me. Because I feel like she was his nightmare oh God, Jesus. I really liked that, those two. And what else? I think the everything about it was just, it was like a big hug, you know, and it was nice. I used like 3 days to watch it because I didn't want to like watch it straight like that. So I watched one episode there, go and do something, come back, go to work, come back, watch another. It was like coming home to like your favorite series. I know it was not long. That was why I was doing that. I swear, I wish it was like maybe 2 seasons that they dropped at once, or like maybe 15 episodes. I know that's not possible, but it just felt like something I was just come home from like a stressful day. I'll just put it on. I'm like, hey, what series was I watching? And I'll be so happy to like turn it on. I'll be like, this is where I stopped. And yeah, I liked that. I didn't watch it like at a stretch. I don't know why I didn't do that, but I just wanted to really, really enjoy it. I didn't want it to end. And the end, what a cliffhanger! Because I did not see. I thought she was like the person that they suffered most in the whole thing. I was like, oh, this woman, they just pushed it from your house like that, blah 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 blah. And then for her to now, Oloribuku the big daddy to big mommy, because I was like, yeah, these two just came to this life to ruin other people's lives. Anyway, I see it. There's so many things I enjoyed about it. It was just amazing. I think I told like 15 people that like saw it from me. Like for me alone that went to go and see it because I just kept making noise about it. I'm like, you have to see this. And then Frank Donga, I've always loved him. I always thought he is a brilliant like person. So yeah. And then baby, what girl? That was Jesus. I I just love that she was part of it. I think my number one reason for seeing it was because of baby. When I saw executive produce what, I'll be there. So it was just, I don't know. I'm sounding like a fangirl. It was. I'm going to see it again today. I already started again to see it. So yeah, I think there's like 1,001 things I love
Okay,
about
all
it. And
right.
then thank you for giving me the floor. It was just, it was refreshing. I think that's the only word that I kept repeating when I keep telling people about it. I just keep saying it's refreshing to see. There was nothing forced about a lot of the acting. They were just in their element. Even the funny scenes felt like those day-to-day kind of funny that would just happen. It didn't feel scripted. I won't even lie, but the only when devil started coming in, all these witchcraft parts, they were the only ones reminding me that it was a movie. But every other thing was nice. It was nice. It was, I don't know, it's just 10 over 10 for me, and they should please hurry up and drop the remaining. That's where they want to end it. Please, oh, I need more. Thanks. Have a good bye, guys.
All right. Thank you. All right. So for me, what I liked about this, like many people have said, the performances were a lot of them were I think for the amount of people the series has, and it does have a lot of people. There are a lot of good performances in there. And I think a couple of the ones that stood out for me was Femi Adebayo's performance. I've seen him. Funny enough, like if you're not inundated with like Yuri would, you might not be familiar with a bunch of the old like seasoned Yoruba actors, but like for me, it was easy to tell that this was not Femi's first time of like doing a thing. Any like Femi Adebayo and Messi, I think they were so good in being able to sometimes take their time, take a beat. They just seem mature in their performances and the way they delivered. In way just delivered in general. What else? There was a lot of so I think it was a simple lie we sat down to discuss, and it had a lot of chaos in it, and I was like I didn't care about anything in a simple lie, mostly because they were just expositing all the chaos. It's just like, oh, didn't you do that? Ooh, and then this other, it just felt this obviously being a series, it has time to build and show you all the chaos, which some of them very much fun. There were a lot of very beautiful people to look at. Oh my god, beautiful women in this. I laughed out loud at several moments, which I genuinely am not sure I've done in not 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 ironically any not unironically anyway. So I don't recall the last time I've watched Nollywood and just had as many laugh out loud moments as I did in this. And yeah, all in all, just yeah, it was definitely entertaining. All right. Shall we move on to the things we did not like? Nollywood must change.
Okay. Thanks for having me back. I don't like this series. I don't like the writing of this series. So, at like it felt like a lot of things were happening in this series. Like they never connected. When you're writing a movie, you have plot A, plot B, plot C. I mean, when you're writing a series, yeah, like in a movie too, you have plot A, plot B, plot C. So the plots would come together, they would move each other. One plot will, be useful to the other, would move maybe plot B, which could be a bit minor, would move plot A forward. Nothing was happening, nothing like that happened in this series. At some point I was like, what should we focus on? Should we focus on the family drama, or should we focus on the whole money laundry thing going on, or should we focus on the whole murder, the whole crime thing going on? Because I didn't understand. I didn't know what this series was trying to do. So the thing in the log line, I think they were saying two friends, this and that. I never saw the chemistry up there. Both of them were good actors, but I couldn't see the friendship, anything about the friendship in this series. I think Nollywood writers need to know that when you're writing a series, your first episode should be like the first act of a full-length movie, of a feature movie. So you should let us know something about these characters. I don't know anything about these characters, and all of a sudden you turn them into a problem. I know you're trying to do maybe a plot-driven series, but you need to care about your characters. I don't care about any of the characters in this series. I'm sorry. I don't know what people enjoyed. People that enjoyed it, I don't know. Maybe, people enjoy YouTube Yoruba movies. Actually, maybe there is the chaos you people enjoying it, but I don't enjoy anything in this series because I was like, what's this series about? The things happening in this series were not adding up for me. They were just, we see Femi, we see Frank Donga, and the plots were not just connecting to each other; they were not moving each other. Because if you all of a sudden this one has money, so I'm not like, why did they choose Frank Donga? Because the only thing he did in that scene was like talk to that the girl you guys are calling witch. The only thing he did was talk to her in that scene. So I'm not like, okay, is it because he's promiscuous, or he's he flirts with a woman, so he became the victim? Is that what they want to do? Because I don't get it. If you are trying to do something, you should make your characters with what your characters do that would cause the problems for them, and they will try to try to solve it. Because this series was written, it was written as if this is the first time the writers are doing writing a screenplay, because that is a mistake a rookie would make. They won't know how to use plots A to move plot B. They will use how to move plot B to move plot C. So everything was just happening on their own. There's a family drama going on. There's a crime going on. There's a money laundering thing going on, and they were not connecting. That one came to saw our best friend's earring in Femi's house, and that was how it happened, and nothing else. And she kept, sleeping with him, he proposed, did all that. Are you telling me that character is that stupid? And there's I think I could hear the Frank's mother speaking good English, and at some point she was talking as if she doesn't understand what someone was saying in English. Like Kilon Jebe, I was kind of confused. What were they trying to do to the character? I know they were trying to do English and Yoruba. They were trying to mix English and Yoruba. So what were they trying to do when all of a sudden she doesn't understand English anymore? They should just have made her not to speak English. And then there's this guy, they brought in someone, because I don't know, they just did many things. I maybe they were trying to do like a comedy, and they didn't know. They now, okay, let's just make this a crime drama instead of a comedy, because I was so unsure of what they were trying to do. There are a lot of things that shouldn't have happened in this series that we don't need them. We don't need them. There could be a family drama of maybe Frank marrying 2 wives, but 3 wives. It was just too much. It was too much. Like, they sat down in the writer's room, and they didn't know what they wanted to do. They just came together and, okay, let's just mix this and mix that and mix this and mix that. The characters don't have motivations to do anything. They just want to do it for doing its sake. So, and I've just said that the lead characters were passive in this series, because they were just thrown into the conflicts, not them. All of you just brought them. Okay, let me put this character in this conflict. Oh yeah, my bayi, just be fighting the conflict on your own. Like, I was like, God, how would it start with a conflict? I don't know these characters. I don't care about these guys. I think they can do better. They said season 2 is coming, actually, so they should do better. I don't just like the series. And I don't, and at some point I just feel that this belongs to YouTube because of the cinematography, the coloring, and the whole thing. It's giving low quality, actually. But I'm happy for them. They sold it to Netflix. Yeah, that's all I have to say.
Hey, this is why. This is you probably didn't get a package. This is why you're talking like this. All right. To you want to? We'll meet in the pushback section.
Uchenna is before me.
Oh, sorry, Uchenna. Yes, thank you.
Okay, yeah. I understand what Nollywood Must Change is talking about in terms of the structuring, but
Oh no, can people hear Uchenna? I can't hear Uchenna.
Can anybody else hear me?
I can hear Uchenna.
I can hear
Is
you.
that thing that
Okay.
usually happens with Uchenna where one person can hear him? It's a thing.
Okay. All right. Go on,
Okay.
Uchenna. Sorry.
Well, yeah. So I understand the issues with the structuring, but I was I was able to give that a pass because, just as I said, I appreciated the fact that they didn't necessarily cleave to the rhythms of a foreign genre piece. I felt that, letting go of those conventions also meant letting go of the specific rhythm and structure. And so I felt that was fine. But I did have some problems with the pacing of it. Some parts went on for a bit too long, and other parts weren't treated with enough attention. A lot of the scenes would go on for a long time with a ton of repetition, people saying the same thing over and over and over again. And that sort of bugged me about the acting. I mean, a lot of other people have complimented the acting, and I wanted to do that too because I felt the acting was really good. But it's hard for me to compliment the acting when they were just repeating themselves as much as they were. It was a bit distracting to me. But yeah, in terms of the acting, it was cool the way that you had different kind of styles going on at the same time. Like a lot of the acting was fairly restrained, but then you had someone like Damilola Oni who played Bose. She was giving a characteristically Yoruba movie over the top performance, which I felt it plugged in well enough. But one person who I felt was completely off key was Debbie Felix, who played Ihotu was the name of the character, the gangster lady. Yeah, she seemed like she was in a different movie. It kind of reminded me of those days of The Wire, where the whole show was played so naturalistically, and then you get a character like Brother Muzone in season 3, who seemed so much like a genre character that he seemed almost cartoonish. And Omar, to a degree, was also kind of a cartoonish character, but he worked. But in Debbie Felix's case, I felt like she was just coming in from a different movie, and every time that she was on screen, it sort of turned into an IG skit. And in fact, a lot of the staging resembled IG skits from episode 3 onwards. I wasn't pleased with the directing, the way people would come in and out of the frame. They would just appear in the scene. Like, when the scene where you have Lateef and Shina in their office talking, and then the gangster lady just walks in. And, I mean, there was a lot of the staging was sort of haphazard in that way. And then, I guess I won't blame this on the movie itself, but the subtitles were pretty crappy. I mean, that's par for the course these days, especially. But I don't know. Here, it just seems like the subtitles were not given much care at all. Let me see. What else would I say? I don't know. I guess that's mainly it. If anything else comes to mind.
All right. Thanks, Uchin. Timmy, do you want to tell us what you didn't like?
Okay, so first of all, Mide Martin's character, I've forgotten her name, I think it was Shadi. She's kind of like the opposite of her husband, kinda. I think she is a pragmatic person, and I don't know, I kind of thought, or like I expected, that the film would find a way of making Shadi influence Shina at the end of the day. Because, see, I think I'll just get back to that point later. So first of all, the first question, I think I'll just ask a bunch of questions. My first question is how they got Frank's account number. Another thing is I don't know how EFCC, Interpol, or the Nigerian police or whatever works, but if a teacher should receive 50 million naira, or the 50 million naira in one huge sum, isn't that supposed to, I don't know, raise suspicions with the bank or something? I don't know. What was the point of the scene where Big Mommy and Lateef were having that conversation, and that boy Dio and his whatever way is dropping on them? Like, and the thing is, this is not like the only scene. There were lots of scenes in this that felt quite unnecessary, and it just made me feel like, okay, maybe this really shouldn't have been 6 episodes, and maybe it really shouldn't have been a series. Maybe it should have been like a 2-hour, 30 minutes movie. And like, if they said, okay, they actually wanted to put these scenes, I feel like for these scenes to be relevant to the story, then the film or the series or whatever should have been around 20 episodes or something at least. I don't know. But I just felt like the duration of the film wasn't it didn't hit the spot, I guess. Um why was Ngozi against Amaka? That hair that hair salon scene where Amaka comes in and Ngozi is looking at her with one kind of bad eye like that. I don't know. I don't know if I probably missed something while I was watching, but I don't think they ended up doing anything with that scene. Another thing I didn't understand was there Amaka that brought Shina to the pastor? Because the pastor and Amaka were having a conversation, and the way the conversation was going, I thought that maybe it was Amaka that had something to do with the money that Shina received. But well, they didn't do anything with that. Um, um, why was Big Mommy interested in Risi? Like, why did Big Mommy give Risi a job? I also didn't understand that. Another thing I didn't understand is the time frame that all of this took place in. Because I don't know, from what I could tell, I think the whole season took place in a month or 2 months tops. So I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, it is totally possible to spend 50 million naira in a month, but like, sha, sha, sha. Um, the antagonist of this film, um, she was very unclear. I don't know, I don't know how I would say this, but there's just something very off. Not necessarily just the way she was acting. The character itself just felt very off, and there's just something about the character that just does not click in my head. I have not had the time to like um figure out why, or like to ask myself why the character didn't click with me, but there's just something off, something unanswered about her throughout the whole series or whatever. Another thing is our protagonist, our heroes in this series. Um first of all, I really do not know who the main character is supposed to be, because I believe in the synopsis highlights Lateef, but I don't think Lateef is the main character in this. Even let's just say he is, and Shino is the sidekick or the side character or whatever. Neither, or let's just say the both of them are the main characters. Neither of them really went through anything that made them change. I feel like at the end of the film, yeah, sure. At the end of the film shows us. It shows us that these people are not the same as when they started. But like the journey that they went through in the film doesn't it doesn't connect with the change. Like what's his name? Latif ends up saying that, oh, he loves Risi, blah 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 blah. But like nothing that happened in the film affects how Latif sees Risi. I don't know if I'm making sense. Same thing goes for Shina. Shina, like I said at the beginning of the film, was very okay. I just take life as it is. He did not even really care much for his wife. But then at the end of the film, he was like, "Oh, okay, um, maybe I should start paying attention to my daughter and my wife more." Blah blah blah. Blah. But like nothing that happens in the film is actually something that led him to that moment. It just feels like at the end of the film, they were like, "Okay, oh, let us make it that this guy changed." But like the journey of that change, yeah. Um, what else did I want to say? The film, I think people have already said that the film was a mess, because like Nollywood Must Change said they had like various subplots or probably things that they wanted to explore, but they just didn't explore. Maybe they didn't have enough time to do that. I don't know what the reason is or was, but yes, the film felt like a mess. The plots, points, the beats, everything. It just felt all over the place. Um, like I said, the film had some things it wanted to explore, but it did not explore. Because I was thinking that maybe the film is trying to tell us that, okay, oh, for everything you do, there is a negative consequence, but I didn't see that, or I didn't get that at the end of the film. Um, at the end of the day, I really couldn't get the point of the film because I personally didn't learn anything, and I don't think the main character has learned anything either. And yeah, I think that's pretty much my main issue with it. Oh yeah, the last thing is the fact that the romance between Lateef and Risi was in no way believable, and I also didn't understand why Lateef had to propose to Risi at that moment. Like, why was it at that moment that you were giving her the ring, and why is this relationship supposed to be important to the story? Yeah, I think that's all.
All right. I would agree with you about that last point. If Risi didn't look like Risi, to be honest, that's everything. All right, Vanessa.
Hello. Hi, everybody. While I've been accused of lacking integrity and morals, all because of Ololade package, I will prove everybody wrong. Okay. So, so while I vastly enjoyed a lot of Ololade due to nostalgia and just a nice feeling of hearing Yoruba in a non-epic setting and a lot of the chaos and a lot of the random juju. I will agree with both Timmy and Nollywood Must Change that a lot of the problems with this were not with the acting. It was very much with the writing and the directing of this. And perhaps editor can catch some flack as well. Um, the pacing of this felt very off. The first three episodes were first two episodes were paced pretty okay. And then it just kind of devolved as it went along. Um, I mentioned in my good that I enjoyed Femi Adebayo and Frank Donga's chemistry together. And based upon what we saw, and I guess going by a lot of the assumptions that the entire audience made, they're supposed to be our lead characters. And we barely saw them on screen together as much as we saw the rest of all the other shenanigans that were ensuing. And I think if they were on screen together more, with more of the exploration of their friendship dynamics, this would have been a much more successful show. And I say this because the scene in the beer parlor where they were one-upping each other, where they were like, beer, one bottle of beer for everybody in the bar, then the other person says, oh no, another bottle of pepper soup for no, since as you have done bottle, I will do plate of pepper soup. And then I think it was Shina who then says something else. I can't remember what the last thing was that he ordered for everybody else. And there's that one-upping dynamic in their friendship where it's not, oh, we're friends, brothers to the end. It's, I'm trying to one-up you, and like I'm trying to be better and do better and all of that. And I wish that dynamic in their friendship was explored even more, because we would have gotten more organic chaos than the chaos that they tried to generate with the Shina House of Commotion bit. Because I genuinely think that plot of that subplot of this show did not do this show any services. Dealing with Bosse and Auntie Amaka and Sade, it didn't, and Shina's mom, that part of it wasn't great. I'm so sorry. I didn't enjoy that bit, including Dio. Sorry, Oliekun, but didn't enjoy that bit of the series. I love Sade as Shina's wife, and I honestly enjoyed her in the first episode asking her husband where the money was from, Shoshoguowoni, and I think we could have carried on with that dynamic of Shina doesn't particularly like his wife, because I was quite surprised, or who was in Nollywood Most Change. I was quite surprised by the end of this where he was, oh, I'm in love with my wife, I really love my wife, I miss my wife. No. First episode, Shina didn't really like his wife. And I think we could have explored that dynamic as well with his newfound wealth, what that means for his relationship. He's refusing to be answerable to his wife until when all the troubles that come with taking money that doesn't belong to you begins to affect his family. That could have been a much enjoyable way of exploring the familial drama in this than giving him many wives and many non-babies that were in his and all of that hula baloo. The writing of this, I agree, was a bit higgy haga, for lack of a better word. I feel like murders were just, and I get it. There's probably going to be a second season, and a lot of these questions will be answered, I guess. But I meant what I said in the first part of this, that 6 episodes were enough. We didn't need to do more than 6 episodes. If this was structured right, if the plot lines were very clearly defined, and easily transitioned into each other, and character motivations were a lot clearer and a lot more better developed, 6 episodes would have been enough. We wouldn't have felt like anything was missing if things were done better. Yeah, another bit that really upset me was the angle of Laide's death and how that happened, and then in following what's her face, Big Mommy's death, because it just feels like these characters seem to be, except for maybe Shino in like the first 2 episodes, being, traumatized by having a hand in burying Laide and feeling guilty. It just feels like Lateef was Lateef was being worried. And then when Shino had to bury what's her face, Big Mommy, he didn't seem to be perturbed that much. I was like, what about these characters have shown us that they'll be comfortable with death? For Lateef, maybe this is his second time around, so maybe he's a bit more settled in burying somebody. But nothing about Shino has told us that he's comfortable with someone dying and him being responsible for burying them. I don't know how it just felt, a lot of stuff felt very unlike the characters. But then again, at the same time, I'm like, do I really know these characters? Because I don't think I do. So I'm like, who am I to say what is not like the characters if I don't really know them? Do you get? And I'm not saying we have to have a whole lot of backstory, but I think we needed to have, in their interactions with each other, which is what I mean by the friendship between Lateef and Shino. In their relationships with each other, we would be able to understand why they're friends, what about this friendship works, what about it doesn't work, how does it affect their daily lives. Like, they fully glossed over the fact that Lateef was a gambler, and how that's their own betting company was set up in like 0.5 seconds. I'm like, is that how easy it is to set up a betting company? They just showed us one scene of Lateef broaching the Shino broaching the subject with Lateef, and then the next time we blink, a full-on betting business is set up. How? So it just feels like sometimes the things that were supposed to have been sped up and the parts of this show that were supposed to have been fast were dragging. Case in point, the baby mama drama. We could have sped along that. Didn't need to settle on it as we settled on it across multiple episodes. Yet the bits that were supposed to have been slowed down and fully dealt with seem to have been sped up. Laide's death, her parents and all of that, the Kiniun Dudu and who Itohan is, or whatever her face is. A bunch of stuff just seemed to be rushed through. And those were the bits that were supposed to have been slowed down. And then the parts that we probably, honestly, I would have removed completely seemed to drag on. And so it affected my enjoyment of this. But I'm hoping from the general public's acceptance of this show that they will be given an opportunity to tackle all these issues in a second season. I'm hoping.
You spend like 8 minutes. You have to return that bag, to be honest.
Wow.
You spending all this time trashing the hard work of these blessed filmmakers.
Wow, look at you.
God. Oh, please, I can't stand for this. All right, Inca. please tell us what you didn't like about this.
I also had tiny issues with what's it called? The organization of the writing. It's not necessarily like my issue comes kind of because I do think 6 episodes is enough. Um, Unlike most people, I am willing to follow writers too because I don't believe there's any organization. There's no something, so I'm willing to follow writers to wherever you want to take me to. You're the writer. So I don't mind. I didn't mind the baby mama drama. I think in some way connected to some of the characters that we've already seen. I think it does connect to them because getting women is a sign of like status, and people just general people like status. Even I like status as much as I try to be humble. Hey, your ego will take you. It's okay. It's normal. But the ending where all of a sudden we're giving the hint that Ajoke may not be what's his name? Shina's child. I'm not even saying that that should not be an ending because there's a sort of insult in it that a man cannot produce children no matter how many women he sleeps with. Because I don't know if anybody read Babashe's Wives. Yeah. There's an insult within Nigeria that is kind of like that too. So it's kind of like it could be kind of like a personal revenge, a kind of like what's it called? The cosmos revenge for his actions of like being a useless man that cannot produce seeds. He cannot give seeds. He cannot even do his job as a man. He can't have children. Um it's also an insult on a man in African culture. Like if you sleep with this many women and none of them give you a child, they start to like maybe question the man. Um I I just feel like that came out of nowhere. That shouldn't have been something that came out of nowhere. Um, I do agree with Vanessa in saying some of the things should have been more, they sped up things that should have not necessarily be sped up. Like maybe we still necessarily didn't get the answer of who the Black Lions are. Who are they? We still didn't completely go with the ending of like, okay, the pastor. Like we clearly all know the pastor. One thing I have to say, this Nigerians, we know how to write dramatic irony, right? Where the audience know the truth and the characters within the something don't necessarily know how to know the truth. Like from the very beginning, we knew that pastor was not to be trusted, but not necessarily the characters know that, right? But like I thought the pastor was going to disappear, but the pastor comes back, and yet there is no confirmation of like, okay, what is the consequences of this pastor is going to get? Is this pastor involved in something a little bit more bigger than that? That was not explained. Um yes, and I agree with him. Like the scene where uh you add the characters here is something that the two of them, like two people are sleeping with. They didn't hear the secret. They didn't hear the secret because they kept on saying Ashiriwa. They just know there's a secret. But like nothing kind of leads out of that. That's a little bit of a little bit of a for me. For me, that's just like I think that was supposed to lead to something. Maybe they cut it off, they remove it, and I don't care. My own thing is that once it's finally on the screen, do some way to make the audience just wave it off. And I don't think they attended that. Like if you're going to put it on the screen, if you're going to write the script and you shoot it, this thing has to actually lead to somewhere. I think you can choose your choice. I don't. It's so I think those things made this a little weaker. Now, is it really completely a crime drama? Maybe not necessarily completely a crime drama because it could be an unfortunate situation drama. I don't know. It's not a complete crime drama, and I don't care. I personally don't care about genres like that. But yeah, there were some plot lines that they definitely didn't complete. If they get a season 2, they should be stronger in completing the plot line. They should go back and check the plot lines that they didn't complete, and they should do that a little bit completely, because I don't like the ending. I don't like it was like it came out of nowhere. You're supposed to be tying things up, even if you're going to leave things up for next season. You're supposed to tie the first season up. That's what I think. That's what I believe. Don't just bring out new things at the end when you haven't even finished tying something up. The woman is dead. Okay, you're telling me the woman is dead. That could be new for season 2. Uh, okay, that could be new for season 2. But like, what about the pastor? There's a child. What? Were you confirmed season 2? You weren't. I don't get this. But that's just my own thing about it. Also, the production definitely did go down by episode 3, where people are just coming out of nowhere. Like, how is the police knocking in the room? Like, is this a face me or face me apartment? If that's it, I can understand, but like, it wasn't noticed as that. Um, for something that did a much bigger production before that, and like one, okay, the scene where birthday comes, the scene in the living room where they were like doing 25 different stories at once, and we just kept them moving from one part of the living room, an open living room, to the next part. I thought that was pretty nice for a TV show. That was pretty nice. But that type of like setup was not longer done and became kind of very, very cheaply made setup by the end. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the money ran out, if it was just time to start doing things quickly. So next time that they're going to do a season 2, I feel that they should do a better planning of the story structure, number one, and a better planning of just also the mechanical things that we see on screen. So it wasn't bad, but there were questions.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Arinka. All right, Beth. So Beth, I'm guessing it's Beth. Beth, otherwise known as Cocaina.
Oh,
You would say things.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Before I say like a few, very few things that I didn't like, I want to say, you know how I mentioned the other time, I said something about there were some real life moments that stood out for me, like, and I'm saying it because a lot of people have said things and they're like, oh, this should have tied to the story, or this should have led somewhere, or this should have. I get that. I get all the, seriousness of the script and whatever. But like, in life, there are like some spontaneous things that just happen, that just pass. That, like them being in the toilet. It was just a oh wow type of moment. It didn't have to lead anywhere per se. I don't know how to explain because I'm more professional writer, but I'm saying for me, it just like my heart skipped. I was like, yeah, at that point. But I didn't think of it like, oh, it had to like be tied to the story, or it had to lead somewhere, or maybe, oh, now, of course, maybe they might use it, or this person has the secret, although they already know now that he had something with Big Mommy, right? But I don't think it should have been that serious, or like the buying pepper. Okay, they didn't have to like buy pepper soup and can you call for like people, or like drag all that scene where they were talking about, oh, you buy this. I don't know, but for me, it was just like that per se. Now, for things me I didn't like, I didn't like how dumb Reese was. He was at some point it was frustrating. I'm like, you cannot be this. I mean, I get that. Okay, she's a bit slow, but the extent of Mumu. yeah, it just irked me a bit. And then the witchcraft. I don't know. I said it before actually when I was talking about things. I don't know. So there was just something about the witchcraft part. I felt, I don't know, somehow about the witchcraft part. I don't know. It didn't really sit well with me. And then, please, Nigerian police don't have sense like that. Have you not heard all the lucky whatever that they are barging into people's houses, barging into? They don't have to, as in, they are not that put together like that. Trust me. Get barging into your hotel room, small thing. Like they've broken so many rules in this Nigeria, and that barging into your hotel room is actually the the least of our worries. So I think people that are really into this script writing thing, yes, there might be a lot of seriousness to it. I get it, but yes, a lot of things dragged, like the Dio and the other babes parts, and repetition sometimes when they're talking and saying something, and then somebody guy just putting hand inside the screen like don't touch. I don't know, there were some annoying small things, but a lot of things that a lot of people are complaining about could have been overlooked is what I'm trying to say, and they shouldn't have been taken that serious per se for me. And then that Mama Perpetual should have been more, just dragging goats up and down. Why didn't she? I even thought she was one that actually went to the police. And then they're like his big mommy. I don't know. It was just somehow. And then the witchcraft. I don't know. Maybe in your season 2 there will be backstories or whatever. Somebody said something about meeting these characters as how they deal with issues, like right where the movie is starting, like, oh, this person sees 50 million, this is how they dealt with it, blah blah blah. I like that take. And maybe season 2 they'll say, okay, oh, this is the backstory, blah blah blah. I get that, but it was all together, like, it was not bad at all. I'll come back to say again, I enjoyed it, and I want a bag. Thank you. All these people getting bag. Some people are getting bag and still yabby you people. Send me bag. Thanks. Good night.
Yeah, I'm sure it works for it. No, yeah, I don't know what you, Cocaine, what you want us to call you. I don't know. I keep on. I went with Beth
Beth is
because
fine. My name is
that's
Beth, actually.
okay. All right, cool. All right, thanks, Beth. All right. I think is you. Wait, I thought I saw Elizabeth on. All right, yes, I did. Elizabeth, do you wanna tell us?
Yes, you saw Elizabeth. So I'm just here for a very short. My time starts now. So let me just run through what I like. I think for most parts, I like the idea of having something that you would have watched on African Magic Yoruba on YouTube, and it follows a very Yoruba film method, or shall I say structure. So if you watch Yoruba films a lot, you get this where it feels like chaos is the name of the game, right? The idea is for it to be like a series of unfortunate events where so many things are happening at the same time and then you have to catch up. I find it interesting that they went with that choice of film, so I didn't mind. I actually thought it was going to be like an homage to, there was this old movie, Ololade Mr. Money, Olaya. I thought it was going to be an homage to it, but apparently not, but still works. What else did I like? For the most part, I like some of the acting. Um, of course, not everybody pulled their weight. I thought Reese, the actress that played Reese, I thought she was really beautiful. I want to see her in more movies. What else? Yeah, Femi Adebayo. Femi Adebayo. Like, the review here for me is Frank Dunga in a more. I've seen him in a lead role once, and I think one that I can't remember the name of that film. That film about this Southern savior in the north. I keep forgetting the title. Anyways,
Underbelly.
but then yeah, something like that. So I enjoy seeing him in a lead role. But for me, Femi Adebayo seemed like he was having so much fun. Again, maybe it's because it's his story, acting Yoruba films. Maybe but it just felt like it was really having fun. Sometimes it's funny, sometimes I cackle. So what I didn't like for me is it was very obvious that Africa Magic series writers wrote this series, and it felt like they intended to write it for a 260 episode, and they tried to cram it into 6. That's how I felt like. It was so much happening so at the same time, and because of that, a lot of character development wasn't explored. Okay, what is even character development? Motivations not exactly explored. So many things were not explored, but of course the old shenanigans sort of like, because it's the Yoruba telenovela-ish style, sort of seem to cover for it. But at the heart of it is you leave out things like motivations, character development. There were some points where we see internal like conflict, maybe with Shina, even Lateef. I thought that was, but at the same time, then Lateef, these characters go ahead and do the most assigned thing. So half of the time, you're like, you know what? Maybe that if look, maybe it didn't really happen. So I would have, maybe liked if with all this Yoruba style thing going on, they had also paid attention to some things. That's episode 2 ended with them thinking, guy, let's start betting shop, and then before the openings, whatever, we see them, there was some sort of sped up betting shop thing going on. I didn't like that. I thought, calm down. The pacing felt okay from episode 1 to, but then pacing felt rushed and then okay again. So that's it for me, mostly. But I do like the idea that, something you worked on, African Magic Yoruba, is on Netflix.
All right, thanks, Elizabeth. Lolo.
Hi. Okay.
Hi.
All right. So, just to echo what the last speaker said, I think it's Elizabeth. I really love the fact that it was. I didn't know it was going to be a Yoruba movie at first. When you put on Netflix, I started hearing English, and I was like, "Why is the sound so bad?" Then it sounded like a voiceover. Then I changed, and I felt like it was Yoruba. So that was really, really nice to watch that on the show on Netflix. My first point is I loved the first and second episode. The pacing of the first and second episode was fantastic. It had like a thriller vibe to it. There was a lot of suspense. It kept me at the edge of my seat. But from like the third episode to the end, the pacing began. I don't know. It felt like there was a lot of unnecessary scenes. Maybe they were given a mandate to create 8 episodes and they had to fill it out. I don't know if that was what was happening there, but they had a lot of unnecessary scenes that I think ruined the pacing of the show. But even the scenes that were added to the show did not give depth to the characters. And that's what made it very, I think it made it very it made it difficult for me to sit in one place to watch the show. I have a very short attention span. By the time I pick up my phone, you've lost me. And they decided to lose me in so many scenes. So that would be one of the things I would say. I wish they could have kept it to like 4 episodes. I think it would have been really great. And they would have been forced to stick to 1 or 2 storylines and create more depth on that storyline. So I think that's something that maybe the writers should challenge themselves as they move into creating other movies. However, if they also did want to do it this way, I was wondering that, in case of to probably increase like viewer retention, they should have released the episode weekly versus releasing it all at once, because with the way they dragged the stories, it did not make sense for one person to just sit down and watch it for the whole 8 episodes. I mean, I did it, but still, it didn't really give me the excitement that it would have. Maybe if they released it weekly, we would have, been able to get into the show as well. But I think those for me are some of the things that I wanted to put. The acting was fantastic by everyone. I didn't feel like anyone's acting was too cliche, except the neighbor of the guy that killed Laide. Sorry, I don't know people's names. But I don't even think it's so cliche because there are people like her literally in real life. So I really liked the acting of the actors, and I think they did a really good job. However, some scenes as well did not lead to anything, like the scene of the 2 people in the bathroom that caught Messia Igbe and the guy in bed. Like, and then from what's happening next? Then the money laundering scene. I'm confused, and I love different storylines, but it just felt like a lot. So that for me would just be my feedback. But I think the production quality was well done. But yeah, I think it's above. Maybe I'll give it like a 7/10, just because I like the characters in the movie. But I think there could be more depth to the story. Yeah.
All right, thanks a lot, Lolo. Mrs. C, in fact, Mrs. C, before you go, let me just read some of the comments that have been coming on. Some of these are a little late, so some of these came during the good section. Shoemaker Blackbird said, I agree with Cocaina. I really liked the whole Lateef and Mama perpetual dynamic. She also said, if people have collected TNC bag, I agree with Mr. C. Don't mind them. And then Favi says, but why can't we meet characters at the spur of their problem and we get to know who these characters are by how they treat their problem? Must everything be backstory first before anything else? Must we spell everything in ABC? Right. Okay. I think I probably lied somewhere in between the critique the person's responding to and this pushback. But we'll get back to that in the pushback. Shoemaker Blackbird also says it's a show, it all leads somewhere. Well, it's supposed to anyway. All right, Mrs. C.
So I think this show's biggest sin was repetition, and it got tedious at some point. This could have been 3 episodes. This could have been cut exactly in half and nothing would have been lost. Because again, there were moments I enjoyed, right? I did like the overall premise. There were moments I enjoyed, but the scenes dragged on for so long. I started tuning out at different points. I'm like, I get the gist of what's going on here, right? I'm not going to get anything new for the next 5 minutes. So I'm just going to check my phone for 5 minutes until they move on to the next scene. Which is not good when I don't understand Yoruba and I'm watching a film in Yoruba and I have to read the subtitles. But yeah, I think that was the biggest sin, was the tedium. The repetition, and yeah, that got tedious. Also, the concept of time in this series was non-existent. I think someone has mentioned the speed with which the betting shop was open. I was so surprised. I thought I had missed something. Because I think it happened between episodes, right? So I thought maybe I'd missed something at the end of that episode, or I'd missed the 5 months later or something like that. So yeah, that happened very quickly. Also, initially, when like 50 million appeared in his account and he just went ahead with it, I thought, that's very stupid. But then I heard him say they had released his glory. So I was like, all right, okay. The person that thinks somebody stole his glory is probably going to think 50 million in his account is a gift from God. That's fine. Now our villain, she was our villain, right? Like, baddie with the black lipstick.
Ihotu. Ihotu, yeah. You tell them Ihotu.
Go away. I thought she had too much time on her hands. Like, oh yes, I was the one who sent the armed robbers to steal the money that I gave you to. I'm like, okay, so clearly you are less busy, right? Like, crime is not that busy, it's not that stressful a life for you. Like, she's actually living her crime life on vibes, right? She transfers 50 million into some random guy's account. Like, this idiot guy was trying to toast you in the bank, and you transfer 50 million into his account for safekeeping. And you're surprised that you came back after how long, and he has paid tithes, bought house, and I don't know, like, that's a best case scenario for her because she's trying to hide money from the government. Right? Like, a reasonable person would have gone to the bank like, whoa, this is, a mistake. And that money would have ended up back with the government or something like that. So this was her best case scenario. She'd have collected what he had left and moved on with her life. But whatever. But yeah, I don't know. She felt quite out of place in the film. She felt quite out of place. She didn't seem to fit into that world with Shina and Lateef and Bosse and Sade and all those people. She stood out. Sorry, she stood out in a way that was good. But yeah, but then again, I don't know, right? I don't. Apart from like the epics on Netflix and stuff like that, I don't really watch Yoruba movies. And like from the clips and stuff I see online, I don't know if this seems a bit par for the course. So maybe like what's his name? I'm not the audience. Uchin, maybe like Uchin, that this one wasn't made for me. But yeah, if they had trimmed so much, if they had trimmed like half of this film, just paid some attention to time, just determined the timeline for this. I don't know, fix the villain, I would have had a better experience of this.
Okay, all right. So I was going to steal Uchenna's. I was going to do my best Uchenna impression and say this didn't feel like this was made for me. But I do have. So this, I do want to flesh it out a little bit. So on one hand, it knows what it is. Unlike something like She Must Be Obeyed. It's something like She Must Be Obeyed that feels like it should have been something in terms of it's just melodrama and that kind of thing. And then in somewhere in the middle, is it John Demps? I think John Demps was the cinematographer. He was like, you know what? I am actually a really serious cinematographer, and he starts doing like cinematography that doesn't fit the tone of the YouTube type show we've been watching. So on one hand, this does know what it is, and it sticks to it in terms of format, which I mentioned. The best thing you can do is just like sort of have picture quality or decent picture quality for what it is, and it's fine, I guess. It's fine in terms of the talking about like resolution and stuff like that. But on the other hand, for me, and this is where the criticism would be, there's a lack of ambition in this kind of work. I say this knowing, number one, that again, this is probably what they were going for. But if you don't want to care about how you light, how you do the cinematography, sound, I say don't care, but like if we can't really critique you on like a bunch of production, and to some degree, like, because people are mentioning African magic type thing, and that's probably why Beth is more insistent that we probably shouldn't be hacking on some of the things that some of the things that some people have pointed to in terms of writing and making things connect. I get it, because in African magic, that's just, people are loose. Sometimes some people improvise and take the script where it didn't necessarily need to go, and it feels like a loose end on some ends and things like that. But kind of things happen otherwise. But now we've set the bar, and maybe you've set the bar low. But even though maybe you have achieved what you want to achieve, but you haven't set it particularly that high. So I think that's one of my things for me off the gate. So given what they were going for, there's very little things that, for me, they could have, if you want to say, let's do better here, whatever. Okay. So lighting, obviously, I think it could have been sort of more, the light could have been softer and like just given that whole just soap opera type look feel. Sound, I saw like somebody was a little too heavy on the sound, the noise reduction, and so like it was, the sound wasn't great. I think as someone like Timmy mentioned, even in his good. And then for me, like I think a couple of people have mentioned, sometimes the writing don't tie into each other enough. I was thinking about Lateef's thing where I actually believe in his love because problem look at her. I believe in it. I 100% believe in it. Like the problem is that his turn to go to, because like he's a womanizer and he's always been a womanizer, and some of his funniest moments was like chasing somebody who is clearly not right, like trying to kill them and threatening their lives in Ihotu. I thought those kind of things were funny, but that time when he was in prison, I thought that would be a moment where there's a way in which you could have shot that, and which that could have been the point where you see him maybe having a second, like having, his reflection, and maybe this is where he changes. But like, there's not a lot of filmmaking in that aspect that suggests much that, oh no, he's particularly making a change. But like, it's his emotional tie, it's his arc, and it's important for things like that to be there. I thought, even though I liked the, I thought in the scenes where they were there together, some people have mentioned the chemistry between, is it Shino? Is it Shino? What's his name? Yes, Shino. I'm gonna go with Shino. Frank Donga's character, Shina and Lateef, their chemistry, I thought when they were together, I thought they were okay. But like, there's something about Shina's characterization that just seems to lack a little bit of depth. It felt like I knew about a lot of things about Shina. With I knew about like his family, I knew about like his wife, I knew about like sort of the desires of his women, or the women around him, and all of that. But like, Shina didn't seem to have, I don't know, there didn't seem to be too much about him that grounded the character in general. So even like when he makes his character arc is like, you know what, like, I miss my wife. That's the actual person I want. This other babe, Amaka, is just good as a side chick. Like, we don't see what makes him come to that conclusion. He just says it, right? There's just a lot of things missing them. And I don't know whether it's because he was the more understated performer and all of that, but like, it just, it wasn't enough for me. And like Mrs. C said, the repetition, I think, people are often saying episode 3 was when it started falling apart, but like, I'm gonna have to go back, but I'm not sure how much new information we got in episode 2. I felt like episode 1 set off this whole thing about, oh, so these two people are womanizers, and then one person, and they've received alert, basically, and also they're one person has sort of buried somebody else's buried a body. I think if I'm not mistaken, I think all of that was set up in episode 1, and episode 2 is just I think a lot of the women just clashing with each other just again and again. And I think some of that was funny, but I don't think the plot moves for so long. And yeah, for me, it just needed to, even though like it wasn't made for me, the way that I would have enjoyed this more if it were much tighter in terms of the plot. Like, all right, move on to the next thing, and let's move on to the next thing, instead of repeating. That's where my major issue was with this. And I think I was saying the casting of everyone is something that I forgot to mention. My good, because like sometimes not even so much the performances, it's the casting for everyone involved. The only one was the babe who played Ihotu. I actually think she does average for what she does. Okay, I don't think she's particularly bad, right? So I wouldn't. She's somebody I'd still be interested in watching her next performance to see what she does next. But I don't. I just thought she was miscast. Like, she didn't have the presence of someone to be scared. I know some people are saying they were scared by her, and maybe the black lipstick did it for some people, but not for me. She always seemed small, and just it felt more putting on the bad vibes from her. Anyway, all right, so that's my part. All right, so we'll go into the pushback section. If you have something you disagreed with somebody earlier on, this is time to raise that up. All right, maybe it's worth me starting with why can't we meet this thing that Favi says about why can't we meet the characters at the spur of their problems? And I actually get that, and I'm not sure I have too much issue with this. But there's a way a movie can start in which you feel like you're missing something. You're missing an intro, or you've been dropped into something that, and when it keeps on going, you feel like you miss something, and that's different from that's a different thing from saying exactly what you're recommending. So, like, if we drop things in the middle of, if we drop us in the middle of the action of something, I think it's possible to actually pull that off, and you just learn about the characters and their issues, and that can work out completely fine. But I think there's also a way you can do it in which people feel like they're missing something. And I'm in the middle between you and the person who probably made this criticism. I think I felt like I was missing. It's mainly Frank Donga's POV, to be honest. And like people said, like, I wish Frank Donga and Frank Donga and Femi Adebayo's characters, there was just something they always did routinely. It would have just played into their friendship and their bond. But yeah, Nollywood must change.
I think that pushback was directed to me. So the thing is that these characters, they have their own problems before the writers threw them into the conflict of what they wanted us to see. Because Frank Doga was kind of poor, that was what they introduced. That was how they introduced him to us. But I think it was that in the next scene after he went to that pastor was when he got that money, kind of like within that day. So I didn't know much about him. That's what I'm saying, because him being poor is a problem already. He's poor and he cheats on his wife. That's a problem already. That's enough to to carry you through one episode. And by the end of episode 1, all of a sudden he got the money. Yes, I'll be fine with that. That okay, I want to know how he would, how his life would change, how he treat his wife in the next episode. But you just within like 2 scenes, just by using 2 scenes or 2 or 3 scenes, you've told us he's poor, is this and that, and all of a sudden he has money. That's the problem. Not like, I'm not saying that, oh, let's see him going to school, going to work, let's see him go home and sleep, let's see him doing. That's not what I'm saying. You will see this character being active, trying to get money. Did he do anything else to get money? They didn't show us. The only thing he did was going to the pastor, and that pastor, even the pastor issue, I don't understand whether he was a real pastor, or maybe his prayer worked or that. I don't know. And he knows those black lion, or what they call them. He knows those guys, black tigers. So I don't understand. The whole thing was just confusing that I don't understand whether it was spiritual kind of thing or the pastor set him up, or it was at the point I even thought it was this other lady, the teacher, his colleague at work was the one who set him up with the money, because almost everybody in that series knows the pastor. Almost everyone in that series knows that pastor. So that is what I'm saying, because you just threw us into a conflict and you didn't give us it's not necessarily a backstory, but just give us something like this character has worked toward trying to get money. Why should I care about this character? Why should I? When they showed us that he was cheating on his wife, I was kind of, oh, this is interesting. I would like this. But all of a sudden, we went to pastor, I don't have money, and all of a sudden he has money. That's the problem. You are just dumping everything on us without giving us time to breathe. I didn't see. There was no time. I don't know who said they had an internal reflection or they were reflecting on their. I didn't see that too, because everything was just happening. There was no time to see that, oh, I should have done this way. I should have done that. I should have done this. I think it was only Femi's character that was kind of worried. It was maybe it was his conscience that was, biting him. I think that's the only thing I could say. But even that part too, I get problem with that one. So it's okay for you to start with a conflict, but just give us the time to learn about these characters. We want to know these characters. Give us time to learn about these characters. Your conflict can be going and we are knowing the characters. Do you understand? The conflict can be going parallel with, the character development, but you don't have to just start the movie in the middle. This series started in Act 2. Do you understand? And then they just gave us a shoddy Act 3, like, okay, let's quickly tie everything up. And they didn't even tie anything up. So that is their problem, Sha. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, I just want to say, in my pushback for, I don't think you need to like the characters. I didn't particularly like. I didn't like any of them or like any of the two leads, but I enjoyed watching them. They were fun enough to watch because they felt like they're too goofy, and there was something a little charismatic about Femi Adebayo's way of womanizing and all of that. And like even Shina he's not a bad dude. It seems like he's trying to do what's right by the people around him. His problem is womanizing too. So like you don't have to. You don't have. I'm saying you don't have to like them. They just need to be fun and interesting to watch.
What I'm trying to say that by not liking them is that I can like a bad character. If the character is bad, is a bad person, I can like the character, but I don't care about them. That is what I'm trying to say. That I don't really care about any of the characters because they've done nothing for me to care about them. Like, why should I care for this person that you murdered someone and you are running a task? Why should I care about you for that? I don't know your backstory. I don't know anything about you. That's what I'm saying.
First of all, you didn't murder her.
I think I noticed Frank Donga was kind of, when in his scenes with Mide Martins, I could feel that Mide Martins was how would I say this? Was doing, I don't know how to say this. It was acting around Mide Martins, kind of. She dimmed his light in the scenes they had together in a kind of way. The dynamic was not flowing for me. It was not okay enough for him.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like you just made a different point there, but okay. Anyway, my point was just like I don't think you need to like the characters. I think they can just be entertained as long as what is unfolding in front of your eyes is entertaining. I think that's fine. They don't have to be likable. They don't have to be. I don't know what you mean by care. I don't know if this is it sounds like a different version of like, because usually we'll only care about people you like, but I don't know what, maybe you mean something slightly different, but yeah, I for what it was going for anyway, I think it reminds me of, like, I don't know if anybody has seen It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's just chaos. That's what the show is. a bunch of people. None of them are likable. They're just going to get into shenanigans, and it probably at the end of the day blow up in their face. But like what we're watching is funny, and obviously those guys are probably very clever in some of the themes and some of the satire they write into their shows. But like even if you don't get the sort of deeper meaning of what's going on, I do think that if you give us something, just let it at least be entertaining. All right, Anchor.
Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to speak into the thing that, like, necessarily, as much as we say Nigeria doesn't do visual medium, it is still, we should realize that it is still a visual making. It's still visual. There's still some visual ints. There's still the acting, and there is the, what's it called? It doesn't necessarily need to be spelled. I get where Nollywood Must Change was coming from, but I will say they did kind of show us it was they showed us that it was a cheater. We knew he was a cheater. I knew he's cheating on his wife, and it goes to the pastor and says, "Oh, somebody's stealing my glory. My wife makes more money for me, and he's stealing my glory." We know from the way he treated his wife on the phone that he particularly doesn't like his wife, which makes it very surprising. The change for that I agree with Mr. C about how it goes in the hand and starts saying, come with me, come with me. He didn't show that he particularly loved his wife. That's the first thing that was set up. There was nothing to say to show that, okay, for the ending that happened. So there was a mistake in the middle of not showing that. But in the very beginning, we needed him not to like his wife to show that this guy was a lazy guy. And we know this guy was sort of lazy, he kind of wanted things to happen for him magically. We know this guy that wanted things to happen because he says somebody stole his glory, somebody stole his glory. He's telling the pastor that. The pastor, us, the audience, the filmmakers purposely made it so that we would read the pastor as like a fake pastor that doesn't actually believe in prayers like that, and is not being as genuine as it. But the characters in the story, I think people need to know the difference between people need to know the difference between the characters in the story and you, the audience. What something is indicating for you, the audience, to know the dramatic irony. And this is very common. Like, for instance, if we read Oedipus Rex, we already know before Oedipus that you are sleeping with your mother and you are the one that killed your father. It's the same thing in many Japanese stories. It's the same thing also in many African stories, where whenever they're telling you the story, you, the audience, already know the ending, and the characters in the story don't necessarily know. So the characters in the story believe that the pastor is is a real pastor. And they're all introduced in some ways through Shina. And remember, they're telling us it's a community. And that's one other thing I can say about this story, about this show. It showed a community, and it felt like that all these people definitely live in this community. Because Mama Perpetua knew Shina and knew the others, and everybody knew each other. So it's a small community. That's how they all know the pastor, right? It's not like, oh, the show is not writing it well. It's like it's kind of the show literally tells us it's a community. We even see evidence of it being a community with Mama Perpetua knowing each other, with Ngozi knowing people and all that stuff. Why does Ngozi have an issue with Amaka? Well, Amaka comes in, looks up and down, do all the thinking, and Ngozi was like, she particularly says it. Look at the way this girl is looking at something and looking at you, right? And then she sits down and then she talks with Shade. And Ngozi even says it with her own mouth, but Shade doesn't put two and two together. Shade, which makes sense. It will make sense, but because you, as the audience, you know information that the character doesn't know, and so you're asking, why does Shade not realize? Well, it makes sense. This is a random person. This is your first time ever meeting this person. This person is saying this, and I work with your husband, our husband or something, and you if you're somebody that tends to have a gooder view or something, you'll be like, okay, this is my husband's colleague. But we know, as the audience, we know when she's saying our husband, she means that I am sleeping with your husband. But the character doesn't know that. And I think people need to know, make the separation between that. And that's a common thing. So, yeah, except for Risi. Risi was kind of actually stupid, even within character, even like if you're going to make a differentiation between. But you can say Risi was confused by love. That's the character. Rather than making, we as the audience, we have an information already that the characters don't know, and they act accordingly to them not knowing. And I think this is the thing that makes a lot of people something. It's a very common thing. It's a dramatic irony. We get that information. We are the ones that are seeing their reaction. We're the ones that already know stuff. We're the ones that use cinema language to understand the things that is there. I hope that explains like my pushback on the idea that, oh, they should have explained everything, because they actually did. They did. They just didn't explicitly say it.
All right, thank you. Timmy, your hand was up.
Oh, it's the scene. It was, I think, when Oyinka was talking about Amaka entering the hair salon and Ngozi. What I mean, my own is like the way Ngozi was looking at Amaka. It was looking as if like they have beef, like these people know each other from somewhere. So when that whole serere or whatever happened in the salon, I was thinking that what will happen later on in the series is that okay, Ngozi will let um her friend know that, okay, well, this is what's actually happening, or this is something I know about this person that you don't know. But yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to say.
Okay. All right. No, I just thought from that Ngozi is the more smart one, and it was trying to show the more naive side of I can't remember her name, the other person's name. Shade. All right. Okay. Uchenna.
Yeah, the pushback, well, I won't say pushback, but added commentary that I wanted to put was agreeing with the comment by Fevhai, I hope I pronounced that right, that I think that was one of the things that the show actually did well, the fact that they did not spend a ton of time establishing the characters in that way. Rather, they established the characters through their actions. Like Lateef, for example, within a few minutes of meeting him, we see him with one woman, throw her into the bathroom while another woman comes out. We see immediately that he's a womanizer by his actions. We didn't have to see a ton of backstory to understand that he had a troubled relationship with his mother or whatever, or why he became that way. And even then, I felt that his portrayal as a womanizer had some nuance to it, because unlike similar characters you see in movies like this, he wasn't a misogynist. You got the sense that he actually likes women. There was a sort of a romantic side to him, and I thought that was interesting. But yeah, I think that the another thing someone else mentioned, that they wanted to know more about the Black Lions, and I don't think that was necessary either, because look, if you are a Nigerian or you're familiar with Nigeria society, you know that we have certain cult groups, and their names are quite recognizable, and you know what they do. If you hear that, the Black Lions, if you hear the name the Black Lions and you see everybody around them react with terror, you get a sense of what that's about. We don't need to know their whole story. I mean, when we're dealing with productions that are disseminated on Netflix and Prime, I'm always very concerned about the fact that it's has the potential to be watched by people other than Nigerians. So I think that things should be made clear for people who may not know Nigerian society. But still, the name Black Lions, just of its own, just sounds like some people you don't want to mess with, and you can see that the reactions tell you that that is correct. That's all you need to know. I can't remember who said it. Was it Hitchcock? Someone said that you don't want to give the audience the answer. You just want to tell them 2 plus 2 and let them figure out 4. So it's always good to start ahead of the audience rather than I mean that's a problem I have with a lot of Nollywood stuff where they start from the beginning spoon feeding you every bit of information. No, start off running ahead of the audience and let them catch up with you, because that's how you get the audience to engage intellectually, because they're trying to figure what things mean, and that's how you hook them in the brain. I compare this to a movie. Was it called Hustle? That starred Nancy Sime and Gabriel Afolayan as con people, where Gabriel's character is this inveterate womanizer, and they spent the majority of the movie with pointless scenes trying to show us what a womanizer he was, and then they didn't get to the actual conflict of the movie until about 35 minutes to the end. And that's a problem that you see a lot, where they spend so much time laying the pipe for things that are kind of obvious. So I don't think that they needed to do all this this foundation work. I think that it was pretty good the way they just got right into the story. I think that was pretty good.
All right, no, I think I agree a lot with what Jenna said. I think my only addition or comment is just I just don't feel. I felt a little cheated from Shina's character. I don't know. I just feel it's just a tad hollow and not as fleshed out as Lateef.
I agree with you there.
Vanessa.
I also agree, especially because at the end of the love by wife thing, you're right. That's just completely. They didn't write that one part.
Are you intentionally avoiding me because I've been raising up my hand since? You're not allowing me to play back.
You've already. I called Vanessa, and somebody else.
Sorry, I was just waiting for people to speak because me is not really pushback. I just wanted to say I enjoyed that Ngozi and Amaka spoke Yoruba pretty fluently. Like growing up, Igbo people speaking Yoruba in like Yoruba films was like super commonplace. And it just felt really nice to see that. Like the fact that Amaka and Ngozi were like just speaking really clear Yoruba. I was like, can we get that again? But like also like in real life, like I want like Nollywood actors of different ethnicities and in Nigeria to learn other Nigerian languages and can speak them in film. Like Ricardo Agbo was a Delta guy who was a Yoruba Nollywood star. And I want to see that again, man. Can we have that again? Sorry, I'm not pushing back.
Mercy Agbe, not Yoruba.
Exactly, Mercy Agbe is in Yoruba, and it's just nice to have that. These were the people I grew up with, so it was nice to have characters that were in this community, and we're just speaking their Yoruba with no qualms. Like there was no, they probably had some pretty fluent Yoruba in this, and I was like, yeah, I like it.
All right, Rotimi.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear you?
Well, I was not going to say it into the space, but I came specifically for Vanessa. Vanessa, bribery is working your body. That give back that it was born. This one that you are doing, I am waiting for you. No, wait, sorry. This is my space now. I'm sorry. Vanessa, I'm waiting for you. Mr. C, I'm waiting for you. In 2 weeks, your paddy.
Hold on. I just want to ask you a question.
Wait. Let me see.
One question, Rotimi.
Go ahead.
When did I ever tell you people that I was a paragon of perfection or morals?
Have
I ever told you people that I am a paragon of perfection?
No problem.
Did I tell you people that I was above a bribe?
No problem.
I never said so.
No problem. Your this thing is nostalgic for you.
My question is, how did you get the bribe? They didn't send me nothing.
I know people in high places.
Some people got this bad. Some people got this bad. And give analysis.
Yeah. I mean, the critics, they didn't get it. Vanessa, I am very impressed. I am very
You people need
impressed.
to realize I'm one of the oldest members
Synopsis
in
got
this group.
condom.
I am
Synopsis
also,
denied
I
she got
am,
condom.
I'm a
I'm the one.
Omologo
I'm the one, and yet I didn't get nothing. Not the critics get anything.
superstar ni
So
me.
I'm just saying,
Okay, all right.
Cotton shave, Vanessa.
Let's really
Okay,
hear
I
what
hail you.
everybody
I
has
hail
been
you.
to say. Rotimi,
So,
I have a
so,
pushback.
hello, am I still there?
I have a pushback.
I'm still there. Am I still there? Am I still talking?
Yes, go on.
Okay, so, I'm going to just run this down in my head. Adebayo's character is sleeping with the friend of his soon to be fiance while his cougar mommy shows up. She dies. They bury the body. Now he proposes to his fiance. Then he's still seeing chicks on the side while he also has a betting addiction. Okay. Then Fandonga is a teacher that is sleeping with his fellow teacher. There's an able girl. Why he has a wife? Then his mother is angry with him because he doesn't have a male child. Mother brings somebody for him to a boy for him to take care of. Then he suddenly gets a 50 million at the bank after eyeing another girl. Then suddenly goes to his house. Then his mom brings this guy, then brings another wife for him, and he suddenly buys house. And he now discovers that the 50 million he took is for the Black Lions after praying to his pastor that his pastor will give him a miracle that restored his glory. So this is this weird when I'm looking at it that when people are analyzing story and character, I'm like, and I see you throw all these things at me. I'm just like, it's very simple for me. I've said this thing before. A lot of Nollywood stuff. When I look at, I do my own eye test. It's the production. You have this. There's something Jade said. Jade said, and that thing kind of came back to my head. So she wanted to move beyond us doing sitting room dramas. And when I saw this, I was reminded again about what that thing kind of stuck to me. That's why she kind of pushed the boundary, what the things she has been trying to do in terms of this action film. And I'm like, I'm not saying everything has to be an action film, but I was reminded that okay, this is the normal thing we're used to. We're moving from drama to drama, from city room to city room with two people talking and everything. Their characters are actually funny. I actually think Frank Donga and Adebayo did a great job. I like their characters. The summary of both of them is that men are scum. So that's the summary of their two characters. Just tell me these two guys are the definition of men are scum. Continue moving on, and we have all the drama with all the things that the women are with them and all the women. I'm just like, the reason why I came specifically for Vanessa, I've heard us tear another asshole, sorry, pardon my French, be livid with other people trying to push the boundary of what Nollywood is capable of. But for this, everybody's just calm. Oh, we're trying to organize and understand the motivations. They can't, there's no time to lay that motivation time. We're moving from issue to issue because we're in city rooms. We're in city rooms from city room to city room, city room to city room.
Sorry, did you hear my bad Rotimi? Because I don't understand why you're making it sound like Moshe pele.
No, no,
My
you
bad was
you bribe you face EFC.
no. Vanessa has the longest section during the bad.
I said I spent 8 minutes speaking about the bad in this. Now me finish this film. Now me finish this series fast.
With the emotion that I've heard you speak before. Not
true, but chocolate can coat all that. Chocolate can coat all of that emotion. Now what for you?
Moete Shandon is what's making me calm.
No problem.
Moete Shandon can calm me down. It is no problem. It's still there.
You
just covered in Moete Shandon.
What was wrong with it?
Now there's no problem. Things are coming in front. I'll wait for you in front. There's no problem. It's allowed.
Hey, Rotimi.
It's a problem. It was entertaining to watch. Probably if I watched it on YouTube, I would have enjoyed it more. No disrespect. I'm just kind of funny that this as a Netflix series. I'm just like, if this is what we can put together, it's cool. It's cool if this is what we can put together. This is why I keep coming back to when people like, oh, how did something like this get on Netflix? I'm like, nah. Netflix is just looking for streams wherever the audience. If this has audience that wants to watch it, it's cool. I'm just like, we shouldn't be putting everybody. Like when I say what's coming in 2 weeks, the blood vessel, that's on a ship. Somebody's going to talk. You should just. I'm shooting a movie on a ship. Give me my props for shooting on a ship. That's what's going to happen next week. So if anybody says they don't like the story, they'll be like, "What are you talking about? I'm shooting on a ship. Is it you want me to shoot in the city room like everybody else?" So if that's what we're doing, it's cool. I'm just like,
Okay, now Rotimi. You have entered. Okay, if you listen to, I can't speak for anybody else, but if you listen to how I started my band, one of the things I criticize this for is the ambition. Is pretty much what you're saying for us. Like, because it doesn't have high ambition, like there's a lot less. It makes sense to criticize it for. That's how I started my band, and almost everybody has called it like an African magic sort of thing. Like, and whether you like it, whether it's what works for them or not, like it's been acknowledged. You're not saying anything new here at all. It's been
what Mr. C,
by
this is why specific when I talk about Vanessa and emotion, but it's not even about Vanessa. I think that in general, it's almost as though if I'm put this, what I'm trying to say is that it's almost like we're angry at people that are trying, that have more ambition. We're angry at people we criticize. There's more emphasis to look for the flaws in people that are trying to do more than are supposed to. Like here, it's kind of karma because this person is just being.
What about this wasn't trying to do more though?
It wasn't.
Is it because they shot inside living
I feel
sitting
it feels
room?
limited.
What is
I feel it feels limited, even in terms of the camera work and everything. I don't have any problem with character or stories. I just feel it feels limited.
nobody is saying that that's not true. I don't think no one has said that the cinematography in this was not bad. Nobody has said that. In fact, you not see as people were just saying camera quality do nice. That is all. Picture quality do nice. But nobody said cinematography was great. Nobody said. In fact, I went on an 8-minute rant about how the story was bad and how characters were underdeveloped and all of that. However, the grace that we're giving this, and I think the reason why you might feel like we're
I'm
what's
giving
it
it a
called?
pass.
We're
I'm giving
ragging
it a
on
pass.
people who have tried. No, we're not giving it a pass. None at all. I think the difference is, and maybe why we might be coming across calm is after we've been inundated. We've spent the past year and a half being inundated by a specific type of Nollywood. And whether or not this Nollywood is ambitious and trying something new doesn't change the fact that we've been inundated by that type of Nollywood. And we have fatigue. I don't know about other people, but me, as in specific, I have fatigue. I have fatigue from that specific type of Nollywood. And so if we're getting something that's different, that may not be as ambitious as these other films that we've watched for the past year and a half, almost 2 years, and is a return to something that is nostalgic and feels familiar, while still trying in some aspects. Of course, we're a lot more calm because this is a departure from something that we're all tired of seeing. So yes, maybe we may be harder on the people who are trying, but it's because I'm tired. Otisumi, I am tired of seeing the same type of Nollywood for the past year and a half, 2 years.
Okay.
Whether
Yeah.
or not they're trying new things doesn't change the fact that at the root of it all, it is still the same thing that has been repackaged and put in a new shiny box for me to watch. So
yes, and if I
might I
can,
be a little calmer because this is a departure, even though not really a departure, but kind of is a departure? Yes.
yes, and if I can add again, like I haven't been with Vanessa through this her non-spectacle act, but it doesn't begin here. Go listen to her during a young time ago, which I am still pulling my hair about how but like apparently just a change of pace was enough. For her, it's been enough for a lot of people. Like, look, we play about the thing, but like, the integrity of the people on this thing is tight, very, very tight. Again, I would advise you to listen to a 7-minute thing and go listen to the. This is not the first time we're talking about Vanessa liking something because it is not spectacle. I think that's what we were calling it. It's like, oh, it doesn't. I think her and Elizabeth have been like, maybe it's because it does not have spectacle, but we liked it. Yes. The problem with watching things that all these people who are quote unquote trying, and I get it, they're trying to do something different. Doesn't matter. You're failing in almost the exact same way, and it's kind of boring to talk about week on, week out. That's the difference. All right.
Okay, cool, fair, no problem. My own is that my boy on the ship, your friend is back with the ship. Don't try anything. We're waiting for you in 2 weeks, bro. Thank you.
Who is on the ship?
Blood Blood Vessel is on the ship. I don't know
Oh,
which of Rotimi friend is on the
I'm
ship.
watching you. We're
I
waiting
beg,
for
don't
you,
sink
bro.
his battle ship.
We're waiting for you. Your party, your
but
party from
Rotimi,
Law.
you don't have to wait for you. No, you don't have to wait for me. Let me just tell you, me, I'm tired of action and crime and all
Yeah, yeah.
meeting. What
Is
to
ship
me,
being?
and I've
Is
been
this ship?
shouting
Is
it.
this
I've
ship
been
being?
shouting it since King of Boys,
Is
the
ship being?
second film, the second series came out.
Eh?
So it's not a new something.
Eh?
I'm tired,
Eh?
so I probably will be
Eh?
tired of the
Lenway.
boys on the ship, and nothing you fit do me.
What you
All
can
right.
do, but that's a
Okay. It's
Lenway.
like
Ship is not beans. No problem. Thank you. I rest the mic, please.
thanks. All right. Nollywood must okay.
Okay. I just wanted to say, I'm not saying a movie should start with people sleeping and waking up, doing all sort of things. I think I've sent something to the comment section. I recommend go and watch the first episode, the pilot episode of the morning show, and the first pilot of Ozark. You will know what a pilot episode of the show is. You can have conflict going on, and we still have backstories. The reason why this movie dragged in episode 3 and episode 4 was because they've dumped everything on us in episode 1 and episode 2. That's why it's dragged in the middle. And if people are not getting it, just think people want to complain.
I disagree. I think it dragged them because nothing was happening in the middle. They
Yeah,
were
because
just
they dumped everything on us.
they're repeating everything. There's like, all right, and then this person comes and
They
has a
didn't take
proper
time to build these characters. They didn't take time to build the conflict. They didn't take time to build anything.
Anyway, but yeah,
That's why I'm complaining that you have to build things before when you're writing a story. You are building a story. You have to build it before you crash everything. Not like you just dump things on people and you just crash it and everything will be all over. You have to start with gang.
I think the complexity of
we keep criticizing.
I do think the complexity of starting why something can start right in the middle and work, and why others is above all of our paychecks here. So, but like, I think the point is that you're trying to make is that you don't think it worked for you the way they started. You don't feel like you got enough of the characters, the feel of the characters, and some people are saying that they did. So, okay, that's
Go and watch the morning show and Ozark.
I don't like the morning show. So that's not. Don't even bring that one as example. I saw the first 3 episodes.
That is the show.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I know where your priorities lie. All right. Does anybody want to say anything else before we go into summaries? I know some new people have come on, but you guys came after we finished doing our good and bad. So does anyone have anything before we go into our summaries? Okay. All right. Let's go into. Oh, Uchenna has dropped. So, who started with us?
Timmy. It's Uchenna and then Timmy, but say it's Uche is not
Nollywood
here.
must change.
It was Nollywood must change to start with.
Sorry, Nollywood must change.
Please.
Okay. Okay. This show. Okay, I'll give them 3.5 out of 10. I would recommend it to anyone that loves YouTube, drama, Yoruba drama, kind of. Don't expect too much. Just flow with it and have a few laughs. That's all.
All right, thanks. Nollywood must change. Uchenna, you want to give us your summary?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For summary, I will give a variation on my trademark line, which is that if not for the fact that I had to do homework for this space, I probably would not have watched this series. But I did watch it, and I don't regret watching it. So that's I guess that's good.
All right, thank you. Timmy, do you want to give us your summary?
For me, I would say this film is it sits on the perfect level of what I'll call mid. So I don't think it was bad. It was far from bad because I ended up enjoying it. But I wished they did some things better, differently, and that's pretty much it.
All right, thanks, Timmy. Vanessa?
If you loved Yoruba Nollywood growing up, some of your favorite people are in here giving pretty good performances. The melodrama and the chaos that is pretty much synonymous with Yoruba is also here. Is it a perfect show? Not in the least. Are there plot holes? Very much so. If you can overlook those things, then you probably enjoy watching this. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Vanessa. Lala, do you want to give us your summary?
Well, I would say that I usually don't really watch a lot of Nollywood, but I decided to watch it today and I was pleasantly surprised. I think the acting is fantastic. I love the feel of old Yoruba, Nollywood movie on Netflix because I can't get to find any on YouTube. So that's really good. If you have a short attention span, I would say watch episode 1 and 2 and probably just put it on speed times 2 from episode 3 to the end. That's what I would say, but I think it's a very good try, and I loved everyone's performance. It could just be shorter. That's my one big critic. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Lala. Rotimi, do you want to give us your summary? Rotimi, are you there? Okay, Chinweke, do you want to give us your summary?
Okay. Hey, everyone. I really just wanted to speak about what Rotimi was discussing. So that's really what I wanted to speak, but it seems like that's been settled. For the film, sorry, I can't really make any contribution. I've not really been able to get past the second episode, so I don't know. That's something. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Oh, you came to cook, and I cooked Rotimi on your behalf, and now you're quiet. Okay, I understand. All right.
Okay, I feel like I should clarify. I didn't come to cook him. I kind of came to bring nuance. I feel like he was lacking nuance in his criticism. So,
okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. All right.
Thank you.
Okay. Vegeta, do you have a summary for Ololade? Vegeta.
I just joined now. I'm not sure what you guys actually talking about. I'm actually from India. I'm kind of curious about Nollywood. Just wanted to know some suggestions.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know who can be the person who will give Vegeta, and actually Lola. If Lola hasn't been watching a lot of Nollywood, I think there's a bunch of Nollywood films that are Netflix that you might like. Somebody can volunteer and with these films in their DMs, that'd be great. DMs or mentions, tagging them.
Thank
you. Thanks, Vegeta. All right, Mrs. C, do you want to give your summary?
Yeah. My summary is my mother liked this. And I don't know who else liked this. So I think there is an audience.
My mother doesn't like
My mother doesn't like Yoruba films, yes. Although I think maybe it's epics she doesn't like.
Some of the subtitles.
I know, for someone who reads a lot, right? But I mean, she liked it. Again, I liked the premise. There were some scenes that did make me laugh out loud. But honestly, I found it, from episode 3, I found it quite tedious. And I wanted to watch at 4 times speed, but 1.5. I wanted to watch at 1.5 speed. It could have been 3 episodes. I'm not sure I want to see a season 2. Although if they do take things on board for season 2, how much, if they do take things on board for season 2 and trim it, sure. But I would have preferred a better villain. I would have preferred it to be trimmed, and I would have preferred some interest in timeline. But again, It seems like a lot of people enjoyed this, and it seems like if you switch your brain off and you're doing something else, you might enjoy it.
It will switch your brain off.
Don't tell me to switch my brain off for Brotherhood, but there are some things you can switch your brain off.
Wow. Okay. All right. Okay, so so I thought this had a lot of moments of entertainment, but I just think it was so repetitive in so many places. As I think, it was halfway through episode 3. I was like, I think you might have been able to cut out of all of episode 2 out. But yeah, so I don't usually do this, but since I got a basket, I'm going to give out free advice. But if going forward, like, I think, even forget cinematography, lighting, who cares, right? Because like that's clearly not something where you want to prevent. Although I could say, like, you could probably do a bit with just making that light a lot softer. But even if you don't want to improve on anything production wise, keep it Ruben and Palan and all of that. There's space for that, as like a lot of people have seen and shown with some of the love it's getting. My issue is, if you're a bit more ruthless with the facts, just about things that don't need to be on, that's not pushing the story forward. It's not like it doesn't have to be everything. I'm sure, but like there was so much fat in this that you could have cut out, and it would have just made for a much tighter story. If you can improve on the fat, if you can be very careful of your arcs, because I think what was lacking in the arcs was just there was not enough attention given to the arcs. So like, what made them change, our leads change? If you can do both of those things, I think you will have you don't have to improve on any of the other things that, all these film snobs care about. If you improve on those other things, I think you can keep your current audience and, add all of the chaos you guys are pretty good at adding. Although, like, I think one of the things that I think I almost want to credit you on is some restraint and not overcooking it. I think maybe the last reveal at the end was close to overcooking, but if you can do all of that, just be more intentional with your arcs and cut out the fat. Just be ruthless with the fat. I think you get even more people like myself and Mrs. C and Uchenna, who are like, yeah, even though that's kind of made that was fun. I would watch again, because like the actors are there. I think the actors are there, the talents are there. So yeah, but in general, that's what I thought of it. So next Sunday on Nollywood Film Club, I think we have a conversation planned, but I actually will drop the calendar soon, because we've the calendar, Nollywood Film Club's calendar for the rest of the year has been drafted. So we just have one conversation, 2 movies. We have one conversation, 2 movies, and end of year small thing to do. And we'll be done for the rest of the year. But thank you guys for joining us. All the people who joined us, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the episode. If you enjoyed listening and would like to join live, just follow us on Twitter at Iroko Critic and join us every Sunday, 6 p.m. West African time on our spaces.